What's up guys, it's Galaxy YJ here, and today we're going to be looking at what in my opinion is one of the most underrated but yet probably overpowered card in Rising Rampage, and that card is White Howling. If you guys don't know what White Howling does, I'll read its effect right now. So it reads, if you control a water monster, target one spell in your opponent's graveyard, banish it, and if you do, for the rest of this turn, negate all spell effects on your opponent's field. This card, in my opinion, is absolutely insane, and if you guys don't see the comparison, this card is literally an Imperial order, and sure, it's not a continuous spell card, so obviously unlike Imperial order, it doesn't just permanently stay on the board, but the fact that you're locking your opponent out of spell cards, which is arguably the best card type in Yu-Gi-Oh, is absolutely insane. And spell cards is obviously insane against Sky Strikers. This card can single-handedly just end the Sky Striker player's turn. Also, not to be overlooked is its effect to banish a spell card from your opponent's graveyard, and as you guys can also imagine, this is very good against Sky Strikers since it obviously lowers their spell count in their graveyard, so it means that they no longer can potentially have 3 spell cards to get the extra draw off of engage or an extra pop for afterburner, so that definitely really comes in clutch. But also this card can negate their one and only cards like for example the multi-roll, which has just recently been limited, or the Hornet drone. So banishing those one-offs and pretty much meaning that they can no longer be recycled is incredible. So that banish effect can actually come in clutch, and as Yu-Gi-Oh sort of progresses, we're definitely gonna get more spell cards that are easily recyclable and have graveyard effects, so having that banish effect is actually very powerful. Now, the effect to banish is actually a downside, not because obviously banishing is a bad effect, but rather this card requires that your opponent has a spell card in the graveyard to get the full effect. So basically what I'm trying to say is that you can't just flip this card up after your opponent starts their first turn of the duel, because at that point they're not going to have any cards in their graveyard, so you can't just lock them out of spell cards from the get-go, which means that they can obviously resolve their first spell card of the turn. So if they activate and engage, you can't really do anything unless you happen to have an actual copy of Imperial order, but White Howling is still, you know, in some regards still a budget Imperial order in that it's not a continuous spell card. But if we talk about decks that can absolutely abuse this card, I think the first shout is Paleozoic Frogs. Paleozoic Frogs, the entire deck is pretty much water. You might play some extra cards such as Sky Cavalry Century or Nightmare Phoenix or any of the nightmares that aren't water, but realistically your entire deck is just water monster. And if you actually think about it, Nightmare Mermaid is a water monster, so even if you have a nightmare monster, you can literally link it away and there you go, you have a free water monster. And that pretty much goes to every deck in Yu-Gi-Oh. Every deck can definitely incorporate the nightmare engine, and if you can just link away your nightmares to summon out the mermaid, and with mermaid being a water attribute, that makes White Howling live. So anyways, I just went off topic, but basically Paleozoic Frogs can definitely abuse this card. It's a White Howling is a normal trap card, so that also means that you get to trigger your Paleozoics in graveyard. It also means that you get to search this, well, not search this, but rather set this off of Trap Trick, which is very good. So it pretty much means that you have 6 copies of this card, which is really strong. A huge reason why White Howling is very good in the Paleozoic Frog deck is because this deck really struggles against True Jaco, and White Howling is actually a very powerful card against that deck, because if you think about it, True Jaco are a very powerful deck because of all their consistency cards, which all are in the form of spell cards such as Card of Demise, Pot of Desires, Pot of Duality, as well as their Field Spell Dragonic Diagram. And with White Howling, you literally get to shut all of that and pretty much stun them for an entire turn, so that's actually incredible. And really, I think that White Howling's is one of the best cards, and unfortunately I don't think that it'll see much play this format, but in the future I think this card can be absolutely abused, and this card is definitely a card that you guys should keep your eyes on, because it's a very underrated card. And if you think about it, we technically now have Imperial order in the form of a spell card at 3, so that's amazing. Anyways guys, that's gonna wrap it up for the video, and let me know your thoughts about White Howling in the comment section below. I really love to hear your thoughts, because in my opinion White Howling is a busted card, but at the current moment I don't think that'll see much popularity, but in the future I could definitely see this card becoming a very popular card. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.